Six Nations Week 5, a team of the week. Tough one. The France-Wales game was that good. I've had to include a few from both sides. Ireland obviously pretty good in their performance as well. And Scotland put Italy to the sword. Italy and England maybe stick around for honourable mentions in this one rather than the team itself. Otherwise, maybe see you for the team of the tournament. Anyway, we'll go through the team. As always, it's just my team, not the right one. But you guys tell me your thoughts. We'll see how we go. Start with Loosehead. I have gone with a Welshman. I forgot that when I write on this board live, it tends to squeak on the floor. I'll try to write softly. Hugh Jones. Hugh Jones. 77 minutes, and not his best game of the tournament by any means. But plays 77 minutes, has 12 carries, which is quite a few for a prop. 50 run meters is a lot for a prop, although he did play a lot more minutes. 2 passes and offload, 12 from 14 tackles, does concede 3 penalties. I can remember the Welsh scrum being under the pump at least once or maybe twice. But I think overall puts in a pretty good shift and has the magical ability of getting people red carded when people stick their fingers in his eyes. This time, or what was the other red card against him for? Anyway, honestly, without the tongue-in-cheek stuff, he's just putting his hand up for a Lions berth. He's just been really good. Pretty happy with him. If you're Welsh, I would be as well. Hooker, I have gone with a Scotsman. I've gone with David Cherry. Gets a couple of tries, similar to the Sheriff did last week. It just seems to be a weakness in the Italian defence that they struggle to defend the maul. Ken Owens was the beneficiary last week. Dave Cherry is the beneficiary this week. He still manages 6 carries for 53 metres, which is a massive improvement as well. Well, not improvement, but a massive shift. For a hooker who only plays, I forgot to write the minutes down, it's like 46 minutes, I think. He has 1 pass, 4 from 5 tackles. I think 1 was dominant. And their line-out was much improved, albeit against a lesser opposition. It was really better with this week's performance. Next, tight head, I have gone with Tadhg Furlong. 2 weeks in a row, and not so much for the dancing feet this week. More for that powerhouse display he put on in the scrum. Mako Vunipola was looking a wee bit uncomfortable under the pressure from the Irish pack, and it's been a thing for them so far this campaign, man. The Irish scrum has just been a proper unit, and Tadhg Furlong being back fit is just a glorious thing to see. 64 minutes, 7 carries, 23 metres, so good numbers overall. He has a pass, which is an offload, 2 from 2 tackles, and 2 dominants, a 100% dominant tackling ratio, even if he didn't rack up if he didn't rack up the tackle numbers, and he does concede 1 penalty. But for him, it's mostly about the scrum. And you could see him so pumped after that one particular scrum win, right? Right, locks. I've cheated a wee bit. I've put in Tadhg Beirne, even though it was Henderson who played 4. Tadhg Beirne played 5, but I've chucked him in here. Such was his performance. And realistically, I think I could have put him in the team of the week every week, and most weeks he has been there. 80 minutes, 9 carries for 29 metres. The work rate is always there. He has 7 passes. He has 11 from 11 tackles. Wins 3 turnovers, and that has absolutely just been his thing in the Six Nations 2020. I think he's got to be the number 1 guy in terms of his turnover rate. At the line-out, he's such a pest. At the breakdown, he's a huge pest. He's just a phenomenal player. I hope Warren Gatland's got his eyes on him. Does concede 1 turnover and does have 2 handling errors, but overall, you'd have to be pretty happy with that. If you wanted to go strictly for a number 4, Henderson's a good shout. Tadhg had 14 from 14 tackles, only conceded 1 penalty, which for him this tournament is on the lighter side. So if you were looking for an English shout, maybe Tadhg at number 4. Number 5, this guy, Alan Wynne-Jones, in a losing effort, he was putting in a bit of a captain's knock, and no doubt when I pick a mock Lions team in a week or so, that guy's going to be there, and he's going to be captain. And people are going to give him stick and say, he's too old, you're nuts, what are you doing picking an old man like that? Mate, watch him play. Watch him play. 80 minutes, 11 carries leading from the front, and 39 run meters. For him, at his age, is actually more than I think what he would usually average. His meterage is not usually that high. It's kind of not what his game plan is all about. He has 3 passes, 2 offloads. One of them's that like chicken wing one out the back of the hand that maybe was in the lead up to Lewis Rezamet's denied try. 22 from 22 tackles, and 2 of them were dominant. The guy just put in a huge shift. Forget how old he is. If the performance levels are there, it doesn't matter. And the captaincy is there as well. Number 6. I've done a wee bit of a sneaky, but I can justify it. I've gone with Olivon from France. Now remember, he wears 7 on his back, but the French flankers just play left-right. So I can pick him either side, really, and I can still justify that. He is probably unlucky not to get man of the match. He has 80 minutes played in which he scores a try, has 13 carries. He has 53 run meters, which is just massive, although I know I've got a prop who ran 50 as well. 3 passes, including an offload. Defensively, the guy's everywhere. 21 out of 21 tackles, including 2 dominant. He does concede a penalty. But man, I know Dulong gets the man of the match, but Olivon definitely worth a shout. If you wanted a guy who actually had 6 on his back, probably Navidi is maybe the best of the bunch. Stunder in his last game was also pretty solid. There's other options as well, but I'm going with Olivon. 7, and I risk getting into kind of fanboy territory with this one, but he did get man of the match, and I almost feel kind of obliged to give the man of the match a spot. I think it's only twice in my team of the week that I've not picked the man of the match, and once was because they picked the same position as man of the match. That was it Navidi and Tadhg Furlong. Hamish Watson, 66 minutes, and it's an unusual performance for him because we associate him with hard tackling, obviously hard ball carrying as well, and a wee bit of pilfering at the breakdown, but he gets a try assist, has a stupid number of carries, 21 carries. Like, that's a lot. That's a lot of ball. I think the next highest Scottish player had like 14. So it's just honestly a ridiculous number of carries. And he's not just run into a brick wall because he gets 120 run meters. Although you could say, some people saying, if it's Italy, it doesn't count. It still counts for it, man. He has 2 broken tackles, 9 passes, and an offload. Interestingly, the AWS, who do the stats for Six Nations, have him with 3 out of 4 tackles, saying he actually missed the tackle. But he's supposed to be on some huge not missed tackle run. I think Opta had him at 3 from 3, so they don't give him a missed tackle. But AWS has him. The official Six Nations stats have him with 1 missed tackle. He did win a turnover, also had 1 turnover conceded and 1 handling error. He gets man of the match in his shift, player of the match. So, yeah, proper shift from Hamish Watson. And another back row from France, I have gone with Gregory Aldrit. The French back row is pretty good. I said in the preview that they don't really have an out-and-out fetcher, and they don't seem to... I don't think any of the French back row has got any pilfers in the game, but they certainly make up for it with other areas of their game. 71 minutes he plays. He has 13 carries, 75 meters. And again, remember, he is a back rower. He's not a fullback. Breaks 2 tackles, has 10 passes and 2 offloads, 21 out of 22 tackles, including 1 dominant. Does concede 1 penalty, does have 1 handling error. But yeah, the French back row is immense. It's such an area of strength for them. They've got a lot of depth there. And even when they bring in some of the second string guys, if you can call them that, like at the Autumn Nations Cup, they've proved they've still got strength and depth there as well. On to the backs. And honestly, I try not to pick this guy, but it becomes difficult. Dupont, it's really hard not to pick him. Who else could you have? I tried to think of everybody else. You could maybe say Scott Steele, who played half a game against Italy and scored a try. Con Murray got yellow carded, but he was pretty solid. Gareth Davis. No. Dupont plays most of the game, 74 minutes. Serran comes on for the last kind of 5 or 6. But he has a try, Dupont. He has 11 carries for 65 run meters. And if you're just looking at pure stats, which is not always the way to look at it, he lends himself to being a statistician's dream because he does take the ball to the line more than a lot of guys. Like some guys like Aaron Smith, his stats look rubbish because he's just a crisp passer. And you can't kind of always put that down in numbers. And like Faf de Klerk is a real defensive harrier. Sometimes it looks like he misses heaps of tackles. But yeah, Dupont's ones always are clear in the stats. Like I mentioned, 1 try, 74 run meters, not 74 run meters, 74 minutes, 11 carries for 65 run meters, breaks 6 tackles as a number 9, has 69 passes and 3 offloads, 174 kick meters, 11 from 11 tackles, including 1 dominant. The black marks are 1 turnover conceded and 1 penalty conceded. But the guy is just really good. Very good. As much as I try to shop around for other options, because I know it's pretty easy to get on the Dupont bandwagon as well, but he's good for a reason. What can you say? Number 10, I've gone with Dan Biggar. Maybe people won't agree with Dan Biggar, but I still reckon Dan Biggar's had a bloody good tournament. People talk about Sheedy, but Sheedy's doing the finishing, so Biggar's putting in the hard yards to start with, man. 68 minutes, he scores a try, really hits the line of pace. He has 3 conversions and 3 penalties, so he scores a bunch of the Welsh points. 5 carries for 34 metres is a pretty good return. Breaks 1 tackle on his way there. 31 passes, 194 kick metres. He misses 2 tackles, 7 from 9. Also a turnover conceded, handling error, a penalty conceded. So it's not a perfect performance, but man, it's still a pretty good shift from Dan. He's going to be on a plane if Warren Gatland picks the way we think he's going to pick. But the number 10 question for the Lions is still a pretty huge one. Speaking of pretty huge, I'm just going to write the initials. Duhan van der Merwe. He's a pretty huge unit, isn't he? And he proved it. I don't know that I've seen as many tackles broken in one Six Nations game, not at least this campaign. Stuart Hogg's had a few. 80 minutes he plays. He scores 2 tries. And he's not just big, he's fast. He is legit quick. 12 carries for 220 metres. 15 broken tackles. 1-5 broken tackles. 2 passes, 2 offloads, 58 kick metres. 2, really 58 kick metres? Did I leave that from someone else? I think that's from Henshaw. Get rid of that one. 2 from 2 tackles, including 1 dominant, 1 handling error, 1 turnover conceded. Yeah, there's no way he kicks the ball. He just runs the bloody thing. Proper, fast, big old unit. Now, I mentioned Henshaw, so I might as well get him out of the way here. Henshaw, who in terms of the guys I've most snubbed in the teams of the week, it's probably been Henshaw thus far, but I've picked him this week. He got man of the match. My hands were tied. I reckon he's putting his hands up for a red jersey as well. If Warren's watching, 79 minutes he plays, 58 kick meters like I mentioned. He has 10 carries for 25 meters, which doesn't seem that flash, but he still manages 2 broken tackles. He was everywhere, man. Putting in big old hits. 8 from 10 tackles, 1 dominant, 3 passes, 1 offload, wins a turnover, does have 1 turnover conceded. He's got the most carries for Ireland with those 10 carries. Nobody carries more than him. So that's what I mean by he was everywhere. Every time you looked up, Henshaw was either making a big tackle or carrying the ball into contact. Now, number 12, I've cheated by picking another 13 just because the performance level was that good. I've been trying to pick by position for the most part, but I couldn't bring myself to leave out Hugh Jones, one of his best shifts that I've ever seen. I know he was in the 13 jersey, but I've chucked him in there in the midfield anyway. 80 minutes, he scores a try. He has a try assist. He's another one that's just kind of everywhere. Like he has the similar carries count to Henshaw with actually 1 more. He has 190 run meters because he was just like, yeah, as I said, tearing it up. Breaks 5 tackles, has 11 passes and an offload, 6 from 6. tackles. He does have 2 handling errors and 2 penalties conceded. And if you want an actual 12, Sam Johnson's worth a decent shot as well. He breaks like 5 tackles, scores a try. So, yeah. Either way, happy days. Right wing, I've gone with another one of the old boys, Keith Earls. Scores a proper nice highlight reel try, does Keith Earls. He plays 80 minutes. He has 5 carries and that try, like I mentioned. 42 run meters. A lot of them would have been in the try, at least 20 odd. Breaks 2 tackles, has 2 passes, 4 from 6 tackles. I was going to say 58 kick meters. I copied and pasted the template. Apparently I forgot to remove the kick meters field from the guys who didn't do any kicking. One of them's dominant. He does concede 1 turnover. I don't know that that Warren picks Keith Earls somehow. I don't think so. But yeah, he's been in pretty good form for Ireland. Consistent, eh? You can give Lewis Rees-Zammit a shout out as well. If he gets his try, maybe I'll put him in there instead of Keith Earls. But Rees-Zammit had a worse tackle count, but I think better carry rate. Anyway, 15. You know who it is. Same as last week. It's Brice Dulin. He plays 80 minutes. He has 12 carries. Fullbacks tend to get a few because they get the ball kicked to them a bit. He makes 138 run meters, breaks 11 tackles, which in most weeks is number 1 by a mile. But this week he got Duhan with 15. 7 passes and an offload. He has 179 kick meters. He has 6 from 8 tackles. The guy... you know, that French side, which does have like a lot of options for the back 3, he's really been kind of making that that 15 jersey his own. He's been very, very consistent, and of course, he is the guy who, at the death, scores that absolute heartbreaker of a try for Wales. Like absolutely, what's the word? Fabulous, fantastic. Awesome try for the French to keep them alive in this competition. They'll get 1 more week at it. He gets man of the match. Dulin. Pretty good. I think the next best broken tackles for France was 6. And Dulin had 11. So, yeah. Like I mentioned, Tadhg, if you're looking for a honourable mention for England, or maybe Curry. Bigi for Italy, probably in a losing team. There's certainly a lot of others that I could have mentioned, but these are my guys for round 5 of the Six Nations 2021. As always, you guys let me know your thoughts as to who you would have had in your team. Remember, this is just my team. Last week, someone said, like, I couldn't watch your video because you didn't pick the players I wanted you to pick. So, if that's the way it goes, that's cool. But it's just my team. Who is your team? I'm always curious. And always when I see people's own picks, there's always a team which is better than mine. Just the way it goes. But anyway, you guys, let me know your thoughts. Take care, and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.